investigation, solving mysteries in the night. Chasing shadows, finding answers, shining bright light. No one's left behind in the darkness, all alone. With a heart like a siren, she brings the lost ones home. Silent cries in the dark no longer have to be, for justice wheels keep turning, granny on the beat. Broken voices find their power, call out hope again. With Granny's crime busters run, no victims left in vain. Bravery in her veins, truth she won't disguise. With a fire in her eyes, she's got nothing to deny. Granny fights for justice, never backs down from the call. For the voiceless and the missing, she'll stand tall.
Hello, everybody. How is everybody doing tonight? Hello, Lori. Good to see you. Good to see you. I don't think Ginger's made it in yet. Oh, there she is. Hello. And to those in the bushes, welcome in. We've got a lot to talk about tonight. But first, let's do our spotlight on the missing. We have Nicole Yadira Chavez, missing since June 27th. Today, guys. Last seen in Prince Alexandria, Virginia. I think it's Alexandria, Virginia. I forgot to take out the Prince. She's 14 years old. She was last seen wearing a white t-shirt and green sweatpants. Her hair is styled in a ponytail. So if anyone sees her today, please call the Alexandria Police Department or 911. We need to get our kids home. Let's not forget about Jonathan Wang. Jonathan is a 21-year-old high-functioning autistic male. Last seen March 30th, 2025. He does answer to his name, but he does not know how to take care of himself. His only social interactions has been with his immediate family. So his family obviously is very concerned about him. This may be a case of being lured away from online people. So if you know anything about Arlington, if you know anything about where he might be or his disappearance, please call the Arlington Police Department or even his dad at the number listed on the screen. Very sad. And let's not forget our little buddy, Sebastian Wayne Drake Rogers, missing since February 26, 2024. Last seen February 25th. Sebastian needs to come home. He disappeared from Hendersonville, Tennessee. This is stepfather likes to say, like to be a ninja. That's exactly what he did. He went poof. But we all know that he didn't go poof on his own. He had help. So please keep him in your thoughts and prayers. Keep his face out there, guys. Share his flyer every day. Go to, my account every day. Share the short that I do. Whatever it is that you can do to help spread the awareness for Sebastian. Travis Decker is still missing. I think they are currently kind of turning it into a recovery operation. They don't believe he's alive anymore. But if someone should run into him, please don't approach him. Call 911 right away. He's 5'8", 190 pounds, black hair, maybe in a ponytail. He may have shaved it. Brown eyes, may have a mustache and beard, may be clean shaven, who knows. He's wanted for 3 counts of first-degree red rum and first-degree kidnapping of his 3 beautiful little girls, Peyton, Evelyn, and Olivia, seen there with their mom. Sad story that is. All right. You had to finish your Mr. Yummy fix. Well, we're going to finish it here today. Mr. Yummy thinks that it is an update, and it wasn't. It was a chopped up CBC video from last week. Is that what it was? I was going to show it here and just talk about it real quickly. But I also was going to go over Belynda's interview today. Hello, Joanne, Sandra. Happy to have you guys here. Yeah, I thought we would, I think most of us feel for Belynda, right? I think it's sad that she was kept away from, hello, Kate, kept away from those little ones. And then now they're gone, right? So, guys, I am seeing all kinds of stupid YouTube things. Let me see if I can find one that I just saw and show it to you, because it's ridiculous. Okay. Okay, I'm going to share my screen with you. Look at this one right here. In New York. How did she know? How did Sloan Bella know Jack and Lily Sullivan's disappearance was an orchestrated removal? How did she know this? Oh my gosh. Hello, JDR. Good to see you. Good to see you. Yeah. I mean, you look at the headline first, right? And then I look to see, wait a minute, that's like the one yesterday where everybody thought that Lily had been found, her body had been found. And it was even going wild on one of the groups, right? And and I'm like, I look at it and I'm like, 39 subscribers. Okay, this person doesn't have any inside information, but I did Google, I checked it all, and I'm like, oh my gosh, it amazes me what people will do to get clicks and views. I mean, any creator wants that, right? But my goodness, what happened to integrity and morals? I don't know. It just really bothers me. Just really bothers me. Joanne, that's very true, right? Like Sebastian has Seth, maybe Belynda is Jack and Lily's person, right? I'm just saying, there's just one thing that I don't really agree with her about, but it doesn't really matter. And I'll get into that when we play her discussion. But yeah, it blows my mind that grandma, who hasn't seen those kids for several years now, year and a half, I think she said, is the one that's advocating the loudest for them, right? Oh no, don't start that. It's going through my head again, Ginger. Oh goodness. This case is getting to be something else. We got Janie got a gun, and we got Bewitched. What else we gonna do? Didn't we have Flintstones and Sebastian Rogers case? Oh, no, I did not. I didn't do that song justice. Oh my goodness. All right. Now it's going through my head. Let's go see how long was Mr. Yummy's 11 minutes. It's one of his longer videos. But let's go ahead and listen to what he had to say. I'm just curious because I didn't see it.
It sort of seems from the last news release that you issued. These are the reason I'm asking these questions. I read that news release and I thought, I don't think they have any idea what happened here.
When it comes to missing people, it's very complex. It can be very long-term investigations. It can be difficult on first responders, especially when it involves vulnerable people. And we have to be patient, and we have to follow the leads and follow the facts and evidence that we gather to bring us to locating the children.
Does the RCMP think Lilly and Jack could still be alive?
That's an update from Canadian police about missing Nova Scotian preschoolers Lilly and Jack Sullivan. But don't let the apparent lack of leads fool you. I actually think they know what they're doing. So in today's video, let's watch this update together and I'll show you why. I'm Deception Detective, an attorney trained in statement analysis. This channel exposes lies and manipulation. So if that's your thing, hit subscribe. For exclusives and other cool perks, join the channel. Link in description. If you're not familiar with this case, don't worry because the interview itself will bring you up to speed. So there's just one last thing I want to say before we grab our deception decks and start watching. Whether a suspect is innocent or guilty, they want to be believed. But only the guilty party has to withhold information, even if it's just the 1% of their story that's incriminating. And the police can use that against them if they handle their evidence wisely. That will make more sense very soon. Without further ado, let's watch.
To be clear, we don't have evidence to suggest that an abduction took place at this time.
Is it something you're still investigating, whether or not they could have been abducted?
So we're exploring all investigative avenues. So on the morning of May 2nd, approximately 10 a.m., RCMP officers received a call about 2 missing children in Lansdowne Station. The information at the time was that they wandered off away from the property. And I can tell you that our officers got at the scene very quickly. And we were monitoring the situation and hopefully finding the children very soon after that.
So it's very quickly. Officers arrive, and then what? You expected, it sounds like you're saying that you'd find the children quickly, or hoped you would anyways. That didn't happen.
So Kayla, what I can tell you, from experience, you look at missing children. I've been involved with a handful of cases since I've been with Strategic Communications. Most oftentimes, the children are located very quickly after officers arrive at the scene, right? And that's our hope every single time, that they wandered off and you can find the children. Because I'm sure, like every officer out there, I'm not on the road currently, but your heart is pounding, the adrenaline is rushing, you're trying to find those children, right?
This case started just like that?
That's
what you're
correct.
Describing, you thought you'd go there, find them very quickly.
Yeah, absolutely. And our officers were nearby in an ongoing search for a kayaker that had gone missing the day prior. So I can tell you I was monitoring the situation remotely. And our officers, I could tell they were getting there as quickly as possible.
There are some, as you are aware, many theories out there. Some people think, well, maybe it's really just a tragic accident. Maybe they've just wandered off into the woods. But you've said that it's suspicious. So at the very least, why does the RCMP view this case as suspicious?
So every missing person's investigation is suspicious until it's proven that it's not. If we don't have that information to say that it's not suspicious, we have to continue to assume that it is suspicious and access those resources and tools and follow up those tips and find that evidence until we find the people that are missing.
As I said in the intro, only an innocent suspect can be totally candid with the police. A guilty suspect really only has to reveal enough to appear cooperative and explain away anything suspicious the police might find. So if the police keep them posted and update them whenever they find anything and tell them what they think of it, the guilty suspect can simply adjust their story just enough to explain it so that everything lines up. But what if the police don't do that? What if they don't reveal everything they find right away? What if the police let the suspect tell their story and then hit them with contradictory evidence? Well, now things change. If the suspect is quick enough, maybe they can come up with a plausible explanation for why they omitted that from their story earlier. But that's unlikely, especially if they have a co-conspirator who might not give the same explanation that they do if they're separated from each other. But what if the police don't even want to take that risk? What if they want to catch the suspect dead to rights in a lie? Well, that requires one more layer of strategy, and I think that's what's going on here. Listen to this next part, and then I'll explain.
So you don't think they were abducted, but you can't find them. How do two young children just vanish?
That's a great question, Kayla. And we are asking for the public for tips and information. And to date, we've received close to 500 tips. So we have to follow up on those tips, right? Whether it's a tip that indicates that there could be something that happened elsewhere in the province, elsewhere in the country, we have to follow up on those investigative tips to rule them out. And to this date, we haven't had any confirmed sightings.
But there have been tips that lead you to other parts of the country that you had to check.
As with any investigation, oftentimes we do get tips that you have to verify that are elsewhere, yes.
You have said that the children were last seen alive the day before. Can you tell me about the nature of that?
So we know they were seen in public with loved ones the day prior. The specifics aren't being released at this time.
Okay, and so that's the day before, so that's May 1st, but you've specifically asked for video back to April 28th. What's the reason for that?
You know, when you establish a timeline for any investigation, you want to know where these individuals were prior. They may have been in contact with someone that you want to know who that person is. You may see something on that footage that you didn't know about prior to that. You know, we talked about license plates earlier and seeing them from a different angle. You might see someone that's known elsewhere. Maybe it's someone that's known to police. You never know. We really are seeking all investigative avenues in this case.
There have been some complaints that an Amber Alert was not issued. I understand that the criteria is very specific. Was that considered? Is it still possible?
Absolutely, Kayla. You know, on the day of the incident, I can tell you I was working. I reviewed the policy that morning. We have to have a suspect or a person of interest when it comes to abduction or a vehicle. You know, in terms of sending out an alert, when you send an Amber Alert, you want to direct the public to look for a specific vehicle, to look for that license plate, to look for that suspicious person, to have a photo of someone or more information to suggest that there was an abduction. In this case, you know, they are young children, certainly vulnerable people, and a vulnerable person alert was issued.
If you're not aware, the strategy we're going over in this video has a name. It's called a Sioux technique. It's not just for police. You can use it too if you have someone who you suspect is a hoaxer. We already covered stage one. Get a statement from the suspect without revealing your suspicions or any evidence you might have. That locks them into their story, and if any evidence or future retellings contradict it, they'll either have to explain that or be treated as hostile. Based on that last clip, I think the RCMP is now on stage two. That's where they suggest to the suspect that they might have some evidence that the suspect omitted something from their story without revealing the source or the specificity of that evidence. This puts the suspect into a deeper dilemma than just confronting them with the evidence right off the bat, because now they don't know exactly what the police have, so they can't update their story to perfectly match it. In this case, the officer suggested that they know the family was out in town the day before the kids were reported missing, but he didn't reveal exactly how they know that. Was it on some grainy CCTV footage, or was it high-res CCTV footage where we could see their faces and maybe anyone they were with, and maybe what they purchased? If the circumstances around that outing are related to the disappearance and the parents are guilty, they'll have to be asking themselves, do they know what we bought? If they bought a burlap sack and a shovel, do they need to address that now and try to explain it away? Or do they keep omitting it? Likewise, the police suggested that they might have some interesting video of cars in the area days before the disappearance. Again, if that's related to the disappearance and the parents are guilty, they need to be asking themselves these questions. Do they know who the car belongs to? Do they know how that person's connected to us? If they drove somewhere incriminating, do they need to go ahead and try to get ahead of that right now and admit it to the police? Or do they continue omitting it? Either option is a gamble. You're either revealing too much and risking a contradiction, or not revealing enough and appearing obviously not cooperative. I'll go over the third stage the next time I pause, but for now, just listen to how tight-lipped this officer is. If they're using the Sioux technique, this is exactly how it needs to be done.
Does the RCMP know what happened here? Even if you can't tell me, do you know?
So what I can tell you is that we're exploring all investigative avenues.
Do you have a case? Are you building a specific case that's leading you in a certain direction?
In this case, the investigation is still being investigated under the Missing Persons Act.
It sort of seems from the last news release that you issued, the reason I'm asking these questions, I read that news release and I thought, I don't think they have any idea what happened here.
You know, when it comes to missing people, it's very complex. It can be very long-term investigations. It can be difficult on first responders, especially when it involves vulnerable people. and we have to be patient, and we have to follow the leads and follow the facts and evidence that we gather to bring us to locating the children.
Does the RCMP think Lily and Jack could still be alive?
That's a great question, and we want to locate them and find them. And our goal is to investigate every single avenue until we find them.
Is it possible at this point?
That's a great question, and our role is to find them in the evidence surrounding their disappearance.
You mentioned a lot of the tips you're getting. I'm sure you're aware there's extraordinary public interest in this case. Some people are frustrated that the RCMP is not saying more. I understand it's an active investigation. And in some cases, the lack of information leads to speculation, and rumors are rampant online, and that's done some harm on the family in this case as well. What, though, would you say to the public who are begging for answers and just want to know what's happened here?
We have to be patient and certainly rely on our news releases and official sources of information. Don't listen to those rumors that are out there. We're putting out those news releases on a regular basis with information pertaining to the investigation. We have to be very cautious as to what type of information we release, because we want to make sure that it doesn't affect the investigation.
I think some people in the public are starting to wonder, is it possible that we may never find out what happened to Lily and Jack? Is that possible?
I wouldn't be able to answer you that question today, but I can tell you that our investigators are seasoned.
The last stage of the Sioux technique, you confront the liar with their lies. And in a case like this, where there's two co-conspirators, you make it very clear to them that their best option at that point is to turn on their co-conspirator. If you want more technique videos like this, let me know by liking, commenting, and sharing. Check the end card for my video about interrogation technique. Until next time, stay true.
Okay, so one of the things that I have heard, she said it today, this interviewer, and I've heard it in the Sebastian Rogers case too, where they have said when law enforcement doesn't give out enough information, speculation runs rampant and it hurts the family. Hold on. I don't believe that in the least little bit. RCMP has been putting out regular updates. We have over double the updates in, 7 weeks now in this case than we do in Sebastian's case, being a year and however many months. That's not it. That's just not even truthful. That really bugs me when they say that. People that are going to do stupid things online and cause a circus, right, are going to do it whether police are telling everything they know or not. That's my opinion. So let me see here. Looks like I missed quite a bit. Hello, Brenda Joe. Good to see you. I think Mr. Yummy gave us a hint about what is coming next in this case. Yeah, a little bit of a crackdown on Malaya and Daniel. Belynda is the only one advocating for Jack and Lily. It reminds me of the Chad and Lori Daybell case. The grandparents were the only ones. Yeah. Kay. Yeah. Kay was the one that pushed it. Kay and Larry. Those poor people. Yeah, that case was heartbreaking. Yeah, thank God for loving grandparents. Yep, the morning timeline is crucial, and we're going to get Belynda's side of it from having talked to everyone on the scene the day of. Yeah, they would have found them quickly if they just wandered away. Yeah, it's getting out of control. It surely is. I loved her so much that I lied to protect her. Yeah. And you got caught in your lie and you even didn't care. I pray the suspect doesn't watch this. Oh, you can be sure that the suspect is watching Deception Detective. Oh, yeah. Yeah. You know, after a while in Sebastian's case, you could tell that Katie and Chris watched them. It was obvious. I don't think that they thought this would go so far. Attention to Sebastian because of Riley's strain, Jack and Lily nearby because of lost person searching nearby them. Yeah. Yeah. Daniel needs a bib. He's dribbling. Well, yeah. And Ginger, you yourself know, as somebody in DV, the person that's controlling you, it's not love. You're a possession to them. It's not love at all. Clean quad is suspicious. Well, here's what I'm going to say about that, Neural. Okay. I had a quad as well. I went mudding all the time. We had a group of friends, so every weekend we were out. And so, I mean, even if we got home late, I was out there cleaning my quad. I didn't want the mud and the guck to wreck it, right? So my quad was always cleaned, and so was everybody's in our whole group. So could it be suspicious, especially given the circumstances and the way that the yard and the house looked? Yes. Right. I mean, it could be. Is it a big, huge red flag? I don't think so. Because like I said, mud can cause problems if it dries in the wrong spots and things. So mine was always cleaned. Always. Yeah, it's too clean compared to everything else. I agree with you on that. The brother who was never mentioned. One of the things that I was really shocked about, we're probably going to hear, I think. So I went and taped the conversation on my own because I didn't want all the other talk in between. So I really wanted to just hear Belynda and play what Belynda said, which really knocked down the time so that we could watch the whole thing today. So I think I got the part where she actually said that Justin was very upset, like crying. So I don't know. That really was a red flag to me. Daniel seems to have a need to deliberately leak out information to explain the statements made by the RCMP. I agree with you 100%. 100%. I agree with you. Yeah, he was extremely emotional. Yeah, the kids might not have even got home after they were seen. That's true. Okay, let's see. Daniel and others may be being considered hostile suspects. I remember that CP and KP were considered hostile suspects because their stories kept changing. Yeah. I find it odd that Durwood said his son either seen them or spoke to them the same day they were seen on CCTV, but you can't believe anything he says. Well, and then Daniel did say that though, and that's one of the things I was going to say because that officer stated to that interviewer that they were seen on CCTV footage, right? but he didn't say where, and he didn't say what family members. Daniel answered that. So it's one of these things where they're trying to get a jump ahead, maybe. And he's not very smart, in my opinion. And he said that even one of my coworkers, I talked to him in the parking lot, and I had him talk to them too. So he's trying to beat it off at the pass, right? So that's pretty interesting. Yeah, she was on the phone with her brother at 6:10 a.m. So yeah, I don't know. I agree. I agree. All right. So, what I'm going to do now, hopefully, is to be able to pull up. I know I've tried this before, and I don't know that it ever really worked. So, we're going to try it again and see if we
Thank
can
you
make.
for having me.
Can you guys? Did you hear? Thank you for having me. I'm going to start it. Let me know if you hear it, okay?
I'm Belynda. I am Lily and Jack's grandmother. Cody Sullivan is my son. There's been a lot of rumors, speculation, and talk concerning my son. And I really do want to clear that up because it has nothing to do with Jack and Lily finding them or what happened to them. My son has been living here for 11 months now. I keep getting stuck on 9, but it's been 11 months now. And he does not have a criminal record whatsoever. He has never been out west. And he has had nothing to do with the children for 3 years. Him and Malaya were together for 3.5 years. Their relationship went downhill really fast after Jack was born. Malaya told me that she was not happy. She definitely wanted out of the relationship. And we supported her 100%. My son, I don't know if it was the pressures of trying to support a family. I'm not sure what happened, but he started drinking a lot, started doing the drugs, and in the end, he just didn't care. And she got tired of it and left. She went to court for full custody, and she went to court for child support payments, and he was paying child support right up until 11 months ago now, when he lost his job, lost his apartment, and lost his vehicle, and that's why he's home. Now that we have that out of the way, does it suck? Yes, it does. I make no excuses for him, but he is my son, and I love him with all my heart.
I understand that, right? I get that 100%. You're still going to love your child. Sounds like he's still kind of messed up, though, in the head that, he lost everything. I mean, so, he's back home living with mom. But it's important that everybody hears it directly from Belynda that no criminal record, right? Never been arrested, never been out west. That other Cody Sullivan that everybody is looking up and trying to pass off as Jack and Lily's father is not the same man. So Malaya didn't need Daniel to financially support her and her children. But my question is it the same in Canada? Because here, if you give up all your rights to your child, you don't have to pay child support. So I'm just curious. I mean, I don't know. And the other thing is that if you are receiving child support, but then you're getting aid from the government, they take your child support and give you their original allotment, whatever that may be. Unless your child support is more than what that is, then you would not get that original government aid. That's how it works here. Yeah. Yeah. And now I'm wondering about the dog, right? I mean, I don't know. Oh, and guys, this was taken from It's a Crying Shame, last night's video. The link is in the description. All credit to them. I just took out pieces only of what Belynda was talking about to try and shorten it so we could get through it tonight, okay? Yeah. Yep. She's saying he had drug issues. Wow. Okay. Interesting. If a judge orders child support, you have to pay even if you give up your rights. They do not deduct child support from any government. Wow. Interesting. That's really interesting. So you could get both child support and the government assistance.
And that's what I want to say about him. Now I want to know why everybody seems to be talking about everybody else, and I find Lily and Jack are getting lost in the background. Yeah, this has been a real eye-opener for the true crime world. I had no knowledge that this part even existed. When I found out that they were missing, I thought they were lost in the woods. I thought they were lost in the woods right up until we went there Saturday morning. And seeing where Malaya lived, seeing Malaya herself. And I still thought, well, the children must be up in the woods. There was a lot of woods. You could see the kids' toys all over the yard. You knew they well played there. Malaya was pretty, I'm not sure if it's shock, but she was very flat, non-emotional flat. I put it down to shock, that she just didn't know what to do, and she kept saying she didn't know what to do. I asked if those were the doors that the children went out, and she said yes, and she opened and closed them to show me how quiet they were, which I did find a little strange. I asked her around what time she seen them, and she said she never seen them since Thursday night when she put them to bed. I asked her what time she thought they got up, and she said between 8 and 8:30. But she said she didn't see them. She heard them out in the other room playing. She never said what room she.
Okay, so Malaya gave Belynda the same story as what she told news reports, right? Now, Darren and Janie are saying different, right? Because Janie is saying that she saw Malaya out in the driveway with the kids. Well, she heard the kids. She heard Lily screaming and she heard Jack. And then when she got outside, she didn't hear them anymore. So we have two different stories there. You know, Belynda knows what was said, but she is telling the truth about what Malaya told her. Okay.
Just said she heard them out in the room playing, and she drifted off to sleep. And when she woke up again, she didn't hear nothing, and she realized that the place was just too quiet. So they got up and they searched. She said they searched the house, they searched the yard, and then I think she said Daniel went off in the truck to search. So I asked her, I said, well, I said, we're here to search. So you know your kids. You're the mom. Moms know their kids. You know what takes their interest, where they like to go around the yard, where you have to get after them all the time. And she said they always like to play up by their fort. So I told her we would start up there. So we headed out, and that's where we started. I never met Daniel that day. She told me that he was out searching. He's been searching since they've been gone. I did see her mom in the Daniel's mom, sorry. I seen Janie in the driveway. He had another woman with her. I wasn't sure who it was at the time. And I did see Justin outside at the time.
Okay.
Before we get into that, so Janie heard Lily screaming and Daniel didn't, despite being closer to the driveway. That is what Durwood and Janie are saying. Or Janie is saying through Durwood. I guess that's how you would put it, right? So my question is, why is Daniel's story lining up, well, somewhat with Malaya's story, but Janie's is a whole different story? Because Daniel said his mom was napping. I mean, I heard at one point that he was gone for like 3 hours. I don't know if that's true or not. It's a rumor that I heard, so don't take it as fact, right?
She was totally, a good way to put it was she looked totally lost. She had Meadow on her hip. She was holding Meadow, and she looked totally lost. Her grandmother was sitting in the living room. As for the people around her, I know when we come into the driveway, Janie was sitting on some kind of a bench thing or something in the driveway, and I can't remember who the woman was beside her. There was a policewoman standing there, and the policewoman was talking to them. We couldn't make out what she was saying until we got up closer. And Janie was really crying a lot. And this woman was saying to her, "It's okay, Mom. They're not blaming you. They just want to look in your trailer. They're not blaming you. They just need to make sure that there's nothing in the trailer." And she went on to say that there was nothing in the trailer. She didn't want them around her dog. And the policewoman told her that she was impeding an investigation and she would have to get a search warrant. And then I thought, well, we'll just continue on into the trailer. That was the only thing I found just a little strange, that I was
A little strange. Janie did not want them searching the trailer, and she didn't want them around her dog. So that's got me wondering. We've been talking about accidents, right? Something like that happened where the kids got into some kind of chemical or rugs or something, right? What about the dog? I mean, I don't know. No, yeah. I mean, what what was Janie so worried about that they would find? Uh, she have time to clean up her dog? I mean, did she? You know what I'm saying? I mean, I don't know. I don't even really want to go there, honestly. Well, was it her daughter or was it Justin's wife? Yeah, they had to come back with a search warrant. She wouldn't let them search either of the houses. Why didn't he take his phone? Yeah, that's a good question. Could be tracked. One or both. You know, if a dog has a tendency to be mean, I could see a dog getting very upset if Lily was screaming. I could see that happening. Right. I called my mother-in-law mom. I realize not everybody does, but that's a possibility. That's all I'm saying. Well, we don't know yet, right? Belynda was trying to figure that out. We'll go ahead and listen to her some more.
Was wondering what that was all about. When I got inside the trailer and after I had hugged Malaya, I mean, I took to crying. Now, I didn't notice because I wasn't watching, but my sister stated that she noticed Malaya wasn't crying at all. She didn't have any tears, that she was very non-emotional. That after the hugging, and I stated about the woman outside that was upset, and she told me that that was Daniel's mother, and that she was having a hard time, and she said that was Daniel's brother. And I told her I seen the resemblance, so I figured they were related. She did tell me who the other person was, but I can't remember.
It
And
wasn't
that
Logan.
Logan, I think it was, we were there Saturday. I don't remember Logan Saturday. I seen her in passing, but not to talk to her. I talked to Logan on Monday
Were you there?
for the argument. When we were there Saturday, when we were getting ready to leave, we were in the woods searching. We come back out. I went back in to let her know that we were finished basically for the day. That was in kind of late afternoon. And we come back out when we were sitting in the car because, I mean, it was pretty miserable in the woods. So we were kind of breaking in the car. I seen Cindy drive up. She had some woman with her, and her husband was also there. They went into the house. Then this vehicle pulled up and this gentleman got out and he introduced himself as the chief, but I'm not sure of what.
Oh, yes, for sure. The child can get seriously hurt when a dog mauls them. Daniel with the mercy statement is now more concerning. Guys, is that what the CPS thing was about? Did the dog bite one of the kids at some point and the teacher asked about it? I mean, it could be that simple. That's scary. Yeah.
What reserve he was talking about, I can't remember that. But he did say he was the chief and he was looking for Malaya. So I took him to Malaya's, and he went in. So my sister and I decided, well, we'll do searching just up the other road further. So we did. When we come back, I stopped in again, and the chief and Malaya, and there was one or two other people around the table, and I thought I heard him say about a prayer circle, and they were on like a conference thing on his phone, and I could hear words in the background and that. So I kind of made my leave at that point, and I left, and then me and my sister headed out. So the only thing I can assume is we had just missed the big fight or whatever it was. We must have just missed it.
Just for clarification.
Yes, all the
Yeah, I mean, I think she was worried about that, but I don't, well, obviously the police are armed, so they're not going to let it come to that, right? They're going to shoot the dog first. I think she was more worried about the police shooting the dog for coming at them than the dog biting them, honestly, right? Yeah, that's the other thing. So that's my question. Did Justin have a dog? And was the dog over there? I remember in the beginning we heard that Justin was living there as well. But then somebody said, no, he lives a few miles down the road. But then Belynda even says that, well, he was in the process of getting a divorce. So was he living back there? And did he have a big dog? Is that why he was so upset? I mean, we don't know, but these are all good questions, right?
texts that you have shown have come from my phone. I know a lot of people are a little put out because Daniel did ask me to keep one part a secret and not to tell anybody. But at that point in time, I had seen Daniel out speaking everything out to the public on what he was thinking was taking place. And I thought, well, he hasn't told me anything in these texts that should be a secret. There was nothing there. So I figured, why is anybody keeping a secret? These kids are missing. What does it matter if the police think you shouldn't do this or you shouldn't do that? Let them worry about their investigation. Let everybody else that was there and knows something talk about anything they know.
This is honestly where I disagree with Belynda. Guys, don't get me wrong. My heart goes out to her, right? It really does. But when police ask you not to speak or say something because it could hinder the investigation, I mean, I don't think she's thinking clearly, because if somebody did something to her grandbabies, doesn't she want that person held responsible? And if they cannot be held responsible because somebody opened their mouth and spoke when they shouldn't have, she's going to feel bad about that. I'm not saying she would have, but she'll be upset that they were told to keep quiet and didn't when it comes time for criminal justice, right? So I disagree with her on that point. I really do. Again, my heart goes out to her. Her and I mean, we could agree to disagree on this point, but I honestly do not believe that everything should come out. Right? If police said don't say something, then don't say it. That's just the way I look at it. Yeah, or tie it up on the other side of the yard. I mean, anything. I don't know if they, I don't know if they, you mean Janie's place? Yeah, they got a search warrant to search her place. But yes, so she's going to go on about this for a little bit, but I just wanted to let you know my thoughts on this, that I don't agree with her there, in my opinion. I know she's frustrated. I know she wants answers, and I get that, right? Anybody would feel that in her situation.
It is a good story. I think about it and I can make it make sense. I can see how it can look like it makes sense. Going by the CPS, concerning my son.
Oh, sorry. I'll have to find where she was. She was actually talking about what Darren's story was. So let me see if I can find it.
Fight or whatever it was. We must have just missed it. Her husband was also there. They went into the house. Then
Okay.
and the search and rescue. That road was blocked off. Right away when we pulled up, I had recognized the trailer because we had made many trips to New Glasgow, and I've often seen the trailer. I didn't have a clue that's where Malaya lived. And I feel so bad now because we could have stopped in so many times. But my sister and I get out and we start walking to the trailer, and that's where I seen Janie sitting down, and I wish I could remember, but I can't, who the woman was sitting beside her, and there was a policewoman standing up, and they were talking.
There's no echo anymore.
Okay, she called Janie Mum because she said, Mum, it's okay. They're not blaming you. They're not stating that you did anything. And then my sister and I headed towards the trailer. We got in the trailer. Right away, I went over and hugged Malaya. Of course, I started to break down. I guess once you reach 60, everything makes you cry now. That I hugged her.
Is that right, girls?
Right away, she thanked me for coming. And I noticed that her grandmother, Patty, was there. She was sitting on the couch. And I asked Malaya if she'd heard anything yet. Did they?
That's interesting. I kept hearing Patty, 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 and I kept thinking, who is Patty? So Patty is Malaya's grandmother. And yes, Earl is Janie's ex-husband. Yeah.
Find anything yet? And she said no. I said, who are the ones outside? And she told me that was Janie, Daniel's mom, and that was Justin, Daniel's brother. But I know she said who the other one was, and like I said, for some reason it's just gone. So I asked her, I said, what was the last time you seen the kids? Did you see them at all? And she said, no, the last time she saw them was when she put them to bed Thursday night. I said, what time did they get up? She said, between 8 and 8:30. She said, I heard them playing in the other room. She goes, and I kind of drifted off to sleep. She goes, but they must have got out of the door. And I said, that's the door right there. And she said, yes. And she opened and closed the door. It is a fairly quiet door. It's not a loud door, but I mean, it's a patio door. So unless you're kind of listening, you really don't hear patio doors open and close. I'm sorry. I know a lot of people are going on about it, but you don't overly, unless your ears are tuned for it to know the door is opened up. As a parent, they should have been tuned in. So then I asked her what the kids were wearing, and she told me what they were wearing. And then I said, well, I said, we're going to go search. I said, where do you think the kids went? And she
So she does, through prodding, she does kind of go over everything, but she gives a little bit more detail. That's why she's going over it again. Well, JDR, I mean, I think it's pretty obvious we're dealing with quite a bit of neglect here. Obviously, if you go by their story, Malaya and Daniel's initial story, they said that they were dozing on and off, but they heard the kids in the next room. Well, that's neglect. They should have been up with those kids. You don't leave a 6 and a 4-year-old alone. So, you know, did she check on them through the night? Probably not. According to Daniel, Malaya did, but yep, the last time she seen the kids was the night before.
said, I don't know. She said, I don't know what to do. I said, well, you're their mom. You know them more than anybody. When you have them outside playing, where do you think they would go, that they were curious and wanted to explore?
Johnny, I'm backstage.
A lot of time playing up into the woods. So I told her, I said, that's where we'll start our search. We'll start it there and work our way up. So we went back out and we spoke to one of the searchers because we just wanted to know where we were allowed to go. They told us that we could search on their side of the property, but we couldn't search across the road because that's where all the searchers were. She said we would rather not have anybody searching. And I understood that, but she said you can search the places that we've already gone through. So I told her, okay, we would do that. So we went up through the woods. You could see where the kids played.
It was an email. I think, or something. That's what I heard. And yeah, they got copies of it on Malaya's phone.
To tell that the kids really enjoyed the yard. Their toys were everywhere. The dog barked from the time we entered the property. It just became background noise. It never stopped barking. We went up through the woods. We made it to a field in the back, and we combed the woods beyond that. And then we seen all these wood roads going, these old pathways going. So we were up there for about an hour and we headed back down. And I went back into the trailer, and Malaya had Meadow cradled on her hip, and there was a couple of groups of people, but I wasn't paying any attention to the people at that point. So I don't know who they were. And she was going to different groups, talking with people. So
Guys, I don't know if you're picking up on this. This is Saturday, which is the day after the kids went missing. There are groups of people in this home. Groups of people in this home. Shouldn't this still be a crime scene? I'm just saying. I think this is why our CMP are only saying that they were seen the afternoon before. They do not know who is telling the truth and what time they left the home. I agree. We have multiple different stories coming from all the adults on that property. Yes, we do. Because Daniel even changed his story. He's the one that said, I don't hear the kids. Right? Yeah. Crazy, right? And remember, Belynda wasn't there, but she's telling us what people are telling her, you know, when it happened. Now, she was not there, unfortunately, for the argument. I wish she would have been. Right. Sebastian's errors all over. Yeah. John Benet Ramsey. It was a criminal investigation until day 2 when Malaya left the property. And all those people were there. She said groups of people in that trailer. That should not be happening, guys. Now, I understand if they were grouped outside because they wanted to search, but our CMP weren't letting them search. They wanted trained searchers out there. And the other thing that I don't get, and tell me if you think I'm wrong, guys, but she said she went out searching and they only let her search in areas that they already had searched. And she said there were ribbons everywhere, you know, which the ribbons they were putting up were areas that they had searched. She said the ribbons were everywhere. I mean, maybe it makes you feel like you're doing something, but it was already searched by experienced searchers. I mean, I don't know. By day 2, they knew about the earlier CPS report, and CPS and the criminal investigations come together, and that is when the poop hit the fan. Yeah. Hello, Osprey. Hopefully forensics had gotten to the trailer before the others. We can only hope, right? I still think that even in day 2, that, you know, I mean, this was early in the morning, right? That Belynda saw, you know, Belynda came. So it's, in my opinion, that house still should have been shut down. Durwood said Patty asked him to visit Daniels about Jack having bruises, but Durwood said he didn't want to get involved. I get it. I mean, I don't know. You know, that is kind of a rumor that's going around that you know, Malaya did not like how Daniel was disciplining the kids, and that Daniel was pretty hard on Jack, rough with them. I mean, I don't know. We don't know. We don't know for sure. And I don't honestly know. I do not honestly know. I don't trust Durwood. I just don't. So I have a hard time thinking that I mean, maybe that part's true. I don't know, right? Can we pick and choose? Does it work that way? I don't know. They said the next step was cadaver dogs, and I don't know if they've gotten there yet. Nope, by day 2, and they found no trace of children. It became a crime scene then, in my opinions. Yeah. Became a crime scene. There should be nobody in there. Well, yes, he's already involved, but that doesn't mean he's being truthful. I mean, I don't know. Yes, everything on the property should have been searched out and sealed off. Yes. I agree. And yes, there's only one cadaver dog in Nova Scotia. I'm sure that poor little dog is, I'm sure it's not a little dog, but I'm sure that dog is very busy.
I went up and I told her, I said, look, I said, we searched up here. I said, now there's a field back there. I said, do you ever take the kids back there? Do they know that area? And she said, yes, that she's had them back there. I said, okay. I said, so we're going to go up the road and we're going to cut across the property and come back in to where that field is. So we left again, and that's what we did. We went up past their place, and there's another road that goes in past where the train tracks are. We went up and through there, and we cut across. We come across a couple of brooks, but right away it was hitting me that there's just no way these kids would be in these woods. It was just like a jungle that we looked through deer paths, and a lot of those were blocked off. Rabbit trails, a lot of animals will use the same trails. We followed what trails we could, and they always came to dead ends. We walked the woods road for, oh my gosh, for about an hour and a half. We walked the woods roads, and all the time I'm calling out for them. And nothing, just nothing other than ribbons. There were ribbons everywhere throughout the woods. That's all you seen was ribbons. So we come back out, and we took a break in my sister's car. And I said, well, I'm going to go in and tell Malaya that we're done. So I went back in, I spoke with Malaya, spoke with Patty. Patty was telling me about selling her home. And that she was worried sick, and you could see she was worried sick. She was pretty upset. Malaya was talking to that same woman that was sitting at her table, that I don't know who she was. I come back out. When I come back out to the car, Cindy pulled up, and Cindy had someone with her. I don't know who it was. She didn't ring. I didn't recognize her. And I know, I can't remember his name, Cindy's husband. He was there, and they started to walk into the driveway. And then, oh gosh, was that before? No, I'm sorry. I skipped over where the chief come. The chief come before Cindy.
No, I think Lana.
Yes, that's who I believe it was. He had introduced himself, and he stated where he was from, and he stated that they're the member of the band of Millbrook. So I wasn't paying attention. I said she lives there. So he thanked me very much, and he went in. So I waited about another 20 minutes, and then I went in again. And he was saying to Malaya that they were going to have a prayer at the table. So I figured I'd give them their privacy for that it was with the other band members that they were doing a prayer. They were all sitting around the table. So I thought that I didn't have the right to stand around. So I come back out and there was other people standing in the driveway, but that's when my sister and I decided we'd call it a day. That it was a pretty tiring day. So we left. Once we left, I guess that's when all hell broke loose. Because as we were getting ready to leave, Cindy pulls in. She goes into the driveway with the woman, and then I see her husband go in. And as we're cooling down the air conditioner in the car, then all of a sudden I seen Cindy's husband come out, and he gets into a vehicle. And then that's when I said, we may as well pull out of here. So we did. That took place Saturday.
Which part? Where did Saturday start?
From 10 o'clock, maybe 10 o'clock in the morning. And I think my sister said it was around between 4 and 4:30 when we left.
And the press.
Oh, I don't know if we were already in the woods at that point or if that took.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm not sure when that took place because I knew nothing about it.
Yeah, because that was
We must have missed it. And afterwards, I thought I wished I would have stayed. And I really wished I would have stayed.
I know. Hindsight, right? On that.
I didn't go searching. That my niece and friends of hers, they're hikers, so they stated they would go for me. So they went Sunday. Then Monday, my sister and I decided, we were going to go back. So we had my nephew, and he had a 4-wheel machine because we wanted to take the trails back further towards the pipeline. And like I said, there's trails that go everywhere throughout there. So we started searching right away. And when we were done with that search, I come back out and they stayed out by the road, and I started to walk in because I wanted to let Malaya know that we were searching to see if she had any more information. And that's when I had met Logan. That when I walked into the driveway and I said hi to them, and Justin was really upset. He was crying. Daniel was out talking to reporters at the end of the driveway. And Justin was really, really upset. So right away I was thinking they must have got some kind of bad news. So when I walked up close, right away, Logan said, "Who are you? And what do you want?" And I just told her, I said, "Don't get mosey with me." I said, I'm the grandmother on the biological father's side. And right away she apologized. She apologized profusely. And then she proceeded to tell me that Malaya left on Saturday.
so.
And
I'm not trying to stir the pot.
very odd because
So this was Monday because she didn't go out Sunday. And Monday is the day that Justin was crying and all upset. Interesting. Really interesting, guys. You know, Osprey, I cannot take anything that he says for fact. I really just can't. I don't. He's being told things. He's being told a narrative, in my opinion. I think he believes the narrative, but I don't think the narrative is true. I think he's being bewitched. Honestly, I really do. Now we got the Bob Newhart show in here as well. So we got Newhart, we got Bewitched. That's funny. He does have another brother. I don't remember the name of his other brother either. Yeah, according to Durwood, Janie and the boys. No, it'll be just Janie will blow a hole in you, right? He's scared of her. Just the good old boys, yeah. By the way, hello, Sandra. I don't know if I said hello to you. But yeah, it's amazing. I want to know why Justin was so upset. What happened? What happened? Because even Belynda thought they must have gotten some bad news, right? Because he was so upset. What happened? Dukes of Hazzard. Oh my gosh. All right.
Said to my sister afterwards, I mean, I know they were probably somewhat close with the kids because they were there for 2 years. But I said he seemed really devastated. So it did strike me as just a little off. Because he really did look devastated. That was the other thing I wanted to say. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
When Malaya stated about who Jamie was and who Justin was, she said they live in the trailer out back. She used the words they.
And we
And
know that.
I afterwards thought, wow, that's such a small trailer. But people live how they live. So that was the end of that thought. And it wasn't until I seen a couple of clips from the news briefing stating that Justin didn't live on the property. And I thought, well, geez, maybe we heard wrong, but I was positive she said they.
Well, maybe
Justin has a place up the road, but then I heard Logan's interview being broadcasted where she was on TikTok and somebody had asked about Justin and she said, well, no, he's got his own problems right now, that he's in the middle of a divorce. And then right away, bells went off in my head and it's like, well, he's in the middle of a divorce. Well, then maybe Malaya was right. He was staying with Jamie at that particular time.
There's your answer, Ginger. I think he was. Because we heard that right in the very beginning. And then we heard, no, he doesn't. And so, yeah, I think he was living there. Their father was there. Earl was there. Because Belynda talked about that. But she also said there was other people there that she didn't know as well. There were groups of people in that house. Yeah, that's what I'd like to know. Is that why Justin's so upset? Did his dog do something to the kids? I'm just saying, guys, I don't know. We're all grasping at straws here to try to figure this out, right?
But I still don't know. Everybody is saying that no, he didn't stay there, but I know she said they. And if he's in the middle of a divorce, my mind states, well, him and his wife probably aren't staying in the same house together.
Exactly, right? Because Logan,
totally off. At first, I thought it was shock, but when I come home Saturday night, and I kept thinking about her behavior because it was very odd to me, and then it dawned on me she couldn't be in shock because this is a crisis that just happened the day before. So this is still a panic mode. I know because I remember when my daughter went missing once. That
So were you shocked?
a part of me inside, I'm sorry, but a part of me inside died. Knowing she left with those babies gone. I don't know how she could do that, to be honest. I love the Malaya that I knew, but I don't know how any mother can leave the place where her babies were. I'm only the grandmother, and I didn't want to leave at all. I wanted to stay there the whole time and sleep in a car.
Yeah,
But no, left. Something tells me she had to have had a very, very good reason to leave. Is it because she knows her babies are alive? I really, really hope so. But this other part of me tells me no.
it also could.
Absolutely can be that too. I haven't crossed that one out either.
She
Both of
or
those
the chief or her
scenarios.
mom gave her a heads up that CPS.
For what part though?
Just
Before
because kids are missing, right? So
right, to be honest, I think CPS was probably contacted through the RCMP. I think they were the ones who called
yeah,
CPS after the fact.
I did too, just because of
They had the crime unit there. What, right after? Was the crime unit there on Friday?
to my
Yeah.
understanding.
That tells me that while they say they're there for every missing child, something tells me something struck them off, and I do believe that they were the ones that contacted CPS. I do think Malaya called her mom. I think Malaya might have called her mom. If it's true that her mom arrived minutes after the police, she does live in Truro. It is a bit of a distance away. So for her to be there that quick, then Malaya had to have called her mom before she called the police. And I don't question that part because, I mean, hell, I'd probably do the same thing.
Belynda, you were down on Saturday, right? You didn't
Yes.
go near on Friday.
No.
I was just going to ask, like, and maybe you can tell if there was, but like in the kitchen, would there have been cereal boxes on the cupboards so that if the kids get up by themselves, they
There
could have
was,
grabbed like a bowl of cereal, or is that
no,
stuff in a way?
if I'm to be honest, an area where the kids could play, which wasn't too bad. But I don't look down on that, to be honest, that part, with people thinking it's dangerous having all the stuff around. Because I remember being a kid myself, and I know when my son was a kid, those were great things to play around because they're not normal toys.
Sunny, I
Walking
hate to
into the
interrupt.
house
yep. You gotta
Um,
get
through the front door where it's a little porch there on the front. We went in through that door. And you walk right into the kitchen area. The table's right across from the door. The living room is off to the right. There's a wood stove. It's not quite in the middle of the living room floor, but it juts out in the living room floor a fair bit. Recyclables were everywhere. Piled up bags everywhere. The counters were so full you couldn't pick out any one thing because it was really piled up with a lot of stuff.
And you said that the inside was kind of like the outside, correct? Yeah. That comment.
Justin is Daniel's brother. Yeah. He may or may not have lived there. Kind of sounds like he did at the time that the kids went missing. I don't know. He's going through a divorce. Hello, Gil. Good to see you. I think Malaya was sneaking away with the 3 children and Janie caught her. And as Darren said, if you betray her, she would put a bullet in you. She was a tough woman. I mean, that's a possibility, I guess. If she was afraid of Janie. Could be, right? Could be.
And then goes out.
The roads, these are bare roads. The paths that are all up through the woods there, they're fairly bare. There's a couple of areas that were muddy and wet, but most of them are dry roads.
Little Mama,
Yeah, Logan just filled me in on how Malaya had left. That they don't know what's going on. She was all set to go to her place, and Cindy said something to her. They don't know what it is, but Cindy said something to her, and just like that, Malaya up and left. And she said she took her Facebook down. And that kind of surprised me. So later on that night, I checked, and yes, I found out that she had taken her Facebook down, and she wasn't responding to me at all.
And
So
still going again?
I called a friend, and I got her to check Malaya's Facebook, and she stated that the Facebook's down, but she'll reach out through Messenger. I was also blocked on Messenger with Malaya. So she reached out, and Malaya reached back, and Malaya's words were, I think I had sent them to you, that if Belynda wants to know that me and Meadow are safe, and if Belynda wants to know anything about her grandchildren, she can contact the RCMP.
Exactly. Okay.
now that's
Right away I did, and I assumed that it must have been Cindy that had Malaya's phone.
Right.
That thing I could figure, because Malaya would never word it that way.
Okay.
She would call them her kids anyway. She wouldn't say if she wants to know anything about her grandchildren. I know the Malaya I knew would never word it like that.
Yeah,
So I assume maybe Cindy was the one that sent that message.
I don't know about that. That could be a stretch. Remember, whether Malaya is innocent or guilty, she's still going through a lot. So she's not going to talk the way you would think she would talk, right? She's not going to answer the way you think she would answer. She's going to be different. Don't you think, guys? I mean, to say that somebody else had her phone, I don't know. Right? I mean, I don't know. And Oscar, you bring up a really good point. A dog mauling both children. Wouldn't you hear them scream? Well, yes, but then again, Lilly screamed all the time. Sound like. So I'm just saying, like the little boy who cried wolf. I don't know. But yeah, you have a point. And you don't believe Janie's story. Yeah. Daniel has changed his to match her, to match Malaya's. And one thing I noticed about, because Darren was on this too, like I said, I just wanted to focus in on Belynda. So I know you hear some other voices in there. I only tried to get Belynda to keep the time down and so that we could get through it tonight. But they were all talking as though it was a fact that the baby has been taken away from Malaya, that baby Meadow has been taken away from Malaya. I don't know if that's true or not, but they were talking about it as though it's fact. I don't know. Yeah, the homes are not close. If something happened to Jack and Lily wouldn't stop screaming, the dog might go right after Lily as well, or they shut her up. I mean, I'm just saying, yeah. Oh, I don't like where this is going, guys. It's not good. I think Malaya's mom told her that the CPS wanted her supervised with Meadow and that Daniel wasn't allowed access to Meadow. That could have caused her to break down. That could be, but we don't know for sure. Yeah, it is heartbreaking, Gil. It really is. What, Lori? What's the film the men are doing down the river in a boat? One's playing a banjo, playing a wee tune. I don't know what you're talking about. We got something else going on here. Oh yeah, definitely, Osprey. There is a difference between a hurt scream and an excitable scream. Very definitely. And if you know your children, you know the difference between their screams. Right. Yeah. Yeah, I agree. I mean, I agree that screams, there are different screams. You know, if they're close enough. I don't know that they're close enough. Dueling banjos. Oh my gosh. All right, we're almost done here, so let's finish up.
I think that was Monday. My sister drove me up there. We didn't go there to search that time. I see no point in searching any further once Malaya had left. I wanted to go and I wanted to speak to Daniel. So my sister took me there. She dropped me off. I walked towards the trailer. Janie come out of the trailer and asked who I was. And as I was stating who I was, Daniel come out and said that that's Belynda, Cody's mom. So he come out and I said, well, I hope you talk to me. And he said, I will. He said, I don't want to talk here. Let's go out in the driveway further. So that's what we did. We walked out to the middle of the driveway. And I told him that I had tried contacting Malaya and she did block me. And he said, yeah, he said, weird, isn't it? Then he proceeded to tell me that the whole thing is strange. And he thinks Cindy and Malaya's half sister had something to do with it because he said the whole thing just doesn't make sense to him. And then he proceeded to tell me of how he searched. Now, I have to say that part struck me weird because as he was telling me how he searched Friday, he was telling me word for word what I heard on the TV interviews. And I mean, it was basically word for word. And that struck me as off. That just struck me as totally off. Right down to the culverts, the dirt roads, waist deep in the water, word for word. And I thought that was really, really odd. And it wasn't until after I left that I noticed there was no dog barking. But I had asked Daniel when I was there anyway. That was not the thought. When I was there, I asked Daniel what kind of a dog his mom had. Because I said, if somebody come into the property and took the kids, I said, wouldn't your mom's dog bark? Because it barked all day Saturday. It would stop barking. And he said, well, that's the thing. He said, mom's dog didn't bark and it didn't wake her up. I said, well, then I can't see somebody being able to take the kids because I said the dog should bark. He said, exactly.
Unless the wondering
Could be taken off the property is if they were harmed and carried off or if they were walked out.
Yeah.
The dogs only found evidence of the kids in the yard out to the end of the driveway, nowhere else.
exactly, yeah.
About that and the boot print. Actually, I didn't even take notice of the boot print in the yard. I wasn't
Mhm.
looking for boot. It didn't even dawn on me to look for boot prints in the yard. I mean, the kids played there, lived there.
No, I know.
Is they're all stating she left through the back door for the boot print to be where it's at. Why wouldn't she have gone out the front door? She'd bypass Jamie's place and it would be right out to the road then.
Is it noise?
Okay. So that's where I stopped, I guess. You heard them ask about Janie had said she filled in the pothole, but my thought is she said she filled it in at the end of the driveway, but I'm pretty sure there were 2 footprints found. The one was by the pipeline, and the other, which is not at the end of the driveway, and the other one was in the backyard off to the side near the woods. So, yes, Gil. Well, allegedly, Malaya said Daniel didn't want her visiting with Belynda. The new description of the clothes for the children is what the children wore to bed the night before now. Wow. Interesting. Interesting. I think Sandra's a little behind us here. I think she's probably talking about the child support. So yeah, I think we got enough of this to know that Belynda is telling us what she saw, what she heard. Obviously, the inside of the trailer was just as bad as the outside. She said that was not normal for Malaya. So obviously something happened, right? Something happened for Malaya to change herself and the way that she, took care of things. Yeah. Imagine, yeah, it's got to be hard. And she said she had driven past there. She didn't know it was Malaya's trailer. She said if she had known, she could have stopped in, you know. Um, but Malaya didn't want to give out her address. So, whether that was because of Daniel or what, I don't know, but Belynda hadn't seen the kids for a year and a half and now they're gone, you know. And now she's the one that's fighting for these precious babies, right? Um, so keep her in your prayers. She needs strength. She needs strength. I would still be combing the property and the woods. I seriously wouldn't be able to sleep. Yeah. Osprey, I really don't think they're in the woods. And that's kind of what Belynda said. She said, I don't think these kids are in the woods. So all Jack was wearing was a dirty diaper. Yeah. That's really, really sad. I really hope something breaks in this case really soon. It seems like things are getting out of control, doesn't it? It feels like it's hard to get past all the garbage that's out there. I'm really getting upset with these people who are, I showed you those first two things earlier in the video. The clickbait that's going on, right? Oh, they're in New York. Oh, they found Lily's body. Oh my gosh. I want to just beat some people over the head because that's wrong on so many levels. It doesn't matter if creators agree that, that you guys know, any of you that have been with me for a while know that that's just not something. We don't do hate here. We don't talk badly about other creators, anything like that. But when you put out headlines like that, that's so wrong. Especially for people like you guys who want to know the truth, that are following the case closely, and you want to know the truth, right? Or imagine Belynda seeing that garbage, right? And how she must feel about that. To see a headline like that, they found Lily. She, can you imagine how she felt when she first saw that? That just makes me so mad. Yeah. That's why the police are looking nowhere else. Yeah, they know they're not in the woods. I mean, I have shown videos of the searchers in those woods, and I agree. A 6 and a 4-year-old would not get far in there. They really wouldn't. It was so thick, and there were so many trees down, and no, they just wouldn't be in there. Right, JDR? I thought the same thing. I thought the same exact thing. That the grandmother covered over a pothole. What a strange time for that. Oh, there you go. you know, you may have something there. And then she was crying and all upset, didn't want the police in there. Yeah. Kind of scary. Oh, yeah. I agree, Ginger. I didn't mean it that way. Social media is out of control. I do think our CMP have things under control. And I hope the interrogations get tough. So, what phase did we get to in Sebastian's case? Was there ever tough interrogations? I'm just saying. Is that why Katie's lawyered up? They were trying to have a tough interrogation? What is in the pothole? I don't know. Well, especially if all Jack had on was a dirty diaper, a pull-up or whatever, right? Of course they'd come home quickly. Gotcha. I mean, there's always that possibility. But here's my question. They have hundreds of hours of dash cam footage, guys. If they had a vehicle in mind or in sight, you would think by now they'd have a track of where that vehicle went. I mean, there's license plates readers on freeways and stuff, guys. So you would think by now they would have that. So, and they said that they did follow up tips out of the area. Was she trying to explain a dirty shovel? Right? It was raining. Could have been DNA in that pothole. Janie didn't want them going into her cupboard. That's right. Daniel fixed a fence. It really does, doesn't it? It really leads back to Daniel and his family. Covering vehicle track marks on the drive could be. Put out that they have footage to make somebody nervous. Yeah. I found it funny when the reporter asked, well, people think that you don't know what's going on. He never answered her, but he talked about seasoned investigators, that kind of thing. But I thought to myself, wow. um, I think that was pretty bold, but there was a lot of other questions that she could have asked. Even with Daniel, you heard that, even the behavior panel said that she didn't ask him the right questions, right? So I don't know. All I know is that these kids got to come home, right? These kids got to come home. My grannyism for today is, when I was thinking of Belynda, a garden of love grows in a grandmother's heart. I thought that was fitting for today's topic because Belynda seems to be Jack and Lily's Seth, right? Seth or Brandy or Jason, right? She's the one fighting for these two little precious babies. Media bribery with muffins and whiskey was too funny to be real. I agree. Our CMP said multiple suspects, the whole family. Yeah. The whole. Janie got her gun. Oh my gosh. And Gil, we talked about the HEB earlier. I mean, I used to, I had an HEB and we had a group of couples, that we would go out every weekend. We'd go out mudding. And every night my HEB was cleaned off when we got back. It was washed thoroughly. So was my husband's. So, and the whole group was like that. If we would go and stay at a cabin, and at the end of the trip, we all took turns with the hose washing our HEBs. So that didn't strike me weird, but I guess when you look at it compared to the house and the yard, I guess it is somewhat weird. So I don't know, right? Yeah. A lot of weird things going on the night before these children went missing. Very strange stuff. I don't know. Well, tomorrow's a new day. Maybe we'll get some good answers, guys. Yeah, I agree, Gil. Considering the state of the place, I mean, yeah. Yeah, much love and prayers for Belynda. She needs to be a voice for Jack and Lily. She is being the voice for Jack and Lily. They're the only one they've got. Because Malaya sure isn't speaking for him. Daniel, it's all about him. It's always been all about him from the very beginning. So, you've been gardening all day. Yeah. So, all right. Well, that's all I really had for today. We don't know. So really the last sighting would have been at 3:15 on May 1st on the CCTV footage without taking anybody else's word. Right. So, all right, guys. I want to thank you for being here. Please, please, please hit the like button on your way out. I would really, really appreciate it. You guys have a wonderful night, and we'll see you tomorrow. Thank you for watching another episode of Granny's Crime Busters. We really appreciate each and every one of you. Don't forget to subscribe and like and even share the content. You can follow us on any of our other social media platforms at YouTube, Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, and TikTok. We really appreciate you guys, and you can also email us at granniescrimebusters@gmail.com. Thank you so much, and we will see you on the next one. Thanks, guys.